NFL players kneeling or protesting during the national anthem. President Trump continuing to attack players for doing just that during the anthem. Trump tweeted numerous players from different teams wanted to show their outrage at something that most of them are unable to define, and they should be suspended without pay. Multiple players, including 3 from the Miami Dolphins, protested during the anthem at preseason games last night. 3 of the players from the Dolphins were wide receivers, along with a defensive end as well. So this happening all over the place. Also saw this from other teams as well. You're looking at some video of that courtesy of the Miami Herald there. This isn't going away, and the president
no, it's not.
Is continuing to weigh in
President's
on it.
Right. They don't
and
even,
the league talked about
they
it.
can't
remember
even define
that?
what they're upset about.
But remember
President's
when
right.
the league and they were meeting with the president, they were having all these discussions with players, and then it, finally decided that, hey, you're not going to kneel anymore.
Right.
If you are, you're going to stay in the locker room. You're not going to do it here on the field. And I believe viewership was down. Was it 30%?
It was significant, at 28 to 30%. Look, this proves one thing. The league management in the NFL, the league has no management. The players do not respect management, or management is being disingenuous and wants these protests to continue because it has a far left bent. Either way, management inside the NFL, top of the NFL, is completely dysfunctional. Well, let's see if there's going to be any changes in store. We want to welcome in our next guest now. Joining us is doctor and contributor at both Newsmax and at the Conservative Review, Tom Borelli. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me back.
So in the past, you have said that these protests endanger police. This is an interesting angle. So I just am curious, do you still feel that way? And if so, can you explain why you think that way?
Yeah, sure. I wrote a piece for Newsmax. Yeah, absolutely. When you really think about it, a lot of the protests initially is against the national anthem, against the flag, but also then the follow-up from Kaepernick was it's really against police brutality. So it feeds into this narrative that the police are out there specifically targeting black males, and that really isn't true if you look at the data. So by the NFL, to John's point, by not taking a leadership role, they're really feeding into that sort of propaganda. And you have to really, right as always, go to the top. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell just signed in December a 5-year, $200 million contract to destroy the league because he's showing absolutely no leadership. They knew this problem was going to happen again. They had a policy, then they withdrew it because the Players Association sued. So they go into the first games, the preseason games, and the NFL has a big fumble. And of course, President Trump jumps on it to expose, really their incompetence.
Tom, I want to move on and talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but I want to address something that Dr. Borelli had said. If you look at the FBI data on police shootings, police in the United States shoot white suspects double the amount they shoot black suspects. And when you look at what it's called non-discretionary and discretionary shootings, discretionary being where they may or may not use deadly force, the numbers are even higher against white suspects. So Tom is 100% correct, and that is a completely false narrative that the police are more brutal towards black suspects, more likely to use deadly force.
But let me ask you something really quick, though, to that point. Hold on just a sec. I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but just real quickly, is it also up to the police, though, to report those numbers?
Oh, certainly.
Right.
Certainly.
So
but 98%, 98.7% of departments report to the FBI.
Okay.
So you get your sample is high quality. I'm sorry, Tom, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to mention, in fact, what's really frightening, over the years, the FBI did report that the number of police dying has increased.
Yes.
And it's increased, if you look at the data, since a lot of this, a lot of the, Black Lives Matter propaganda has really kicked in. So it's really inciting, people to take action against police. And again, this is where you need leadership right from the top. And you're right, the police department, the FBI, needs to really have a better communications, strategy to really educate the people. But as we've seen in Chicago, there's massive violence there. One of the problems is that the individuals who are victims are afraid to report to police what's going on because they're afraid of the police. So this is leading to more crime, more death, more injury.
And lower solve rates of cases. All right, let's move on to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We're going to listen, Tom, to what she told CNN about why we should adopt a universal health care system. I think you're going to love it as much as I do.
We're also not talking about is why aren't we incorporating the cost of all the funeral expenses of those who die because they can't afford access to health care? That is part of the cost of our system. Why don't we talk about the cost of reduced productivity because of people who need to go on disability, because of people who are not able to participate in our economy, because they're having issues like diabetes or they don't have access to the health care that they need.
Wow. Dr. Borelli, I don't even know where to begin. You have the doctorate, I don't. You want to give that analysis a crack?
I know, maybe we should refer to Dr. Gina. She's the psychologist in the room.
Yeah.
But other than that, look, she's not ready for prime time. Right. That's clear. She's failed media training 101 with crazy analogies and being wrong on the facts. She made some wild claims about unemployment rates and that what was contributing to them is, people working 2 jobs that has nothing to do with the unemployment rate when you look at the math of the situation. And by the way, she did graduate with a degree in economics, so, go figure. And with that, she wants to be a socialist. So none of this really adds up, but it's really good news for Republicans and good news for Americans to really highlight one of the stars of the Democrat Party.
I'd love to hear her definition of socialism when you, Dr. Borelli. I have a feeling it might have more to do with social media and having friends than the actual.
Oh, ouch.
Oh, Gina's got a point, though. I mean, Tom, do you think that Gina makes a great point? Do you think that Ocasio-Cortez fundamentally understands the political ideology she's promoting, or is it just her New York City far-left bubble, and these are the things that sound cool?
Or
get
John, capitalizing.
You're from New York City.
Or capitalizing on a movement. I've seen a lot of people do it to the conservative movement. They're not really conservatives. They capitalize on the movement. Tom, go.
Yeah, Tom, what do you say? About 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think she just surprisingly won and now doesn't know what to do. The dog actually caught the car. Now what do I do with it? And she's not prepared to deal with it.
Wow.
That's the best analogy.
That is the best.
Get in trouble for that one.
It's the best one we've heard on this yet, Doctor.
See, he earned that doctorate, by golly.
Oh, wow. All right, Doctor, stay right where you are.